The fourth horseman of the apocalypse is stonewalling. I was met with the silent treatment and a refusal to speak about how we could both work on fixing things. A last straw for me was when he said he would refuse to speak to me until I said 99.9% of the problems in our relationship were because of me.
No.
And I refused to say that. So it unraveled.
Welcome to the X-Files, a podcast about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on. I'm Claire.
And I'm Janice. We are breakup coaches, here to help you beat your breakup,
Heal your broken heart,
and move on to an amazing, abundant life.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of X-Files. Good morning, Claire.
Hello, good morning.
I guess I want to say we're excited about this topic, but it's one that we think is an
important one.
Yes.
Yeah.
We think it's going to help a lot of people, and it's definitely one of those topics that doesn't get as much attention in, I think, the quote right way. So I'm glad at least to be covering it. But before we get into being the one to end things / leaving a relationship / being the breaker-upper.
Being the breaker-upper, being the instigator, the bad guy.
We haven't picked a title yet.
Yeah.
So I guess I will get there. But before we get into that, regardless of the reason for a breakup, we all know, if you're listening to this, that it can leave us feeling stuck and confused about where to turn and how to feel better.
Yeah.
One-on-one support is a powerful way to clear some of the breakup rubbish floating around in our minds and start to clearly see ways to move forward. Please contact us. I don't know.
Contact us, not
please
some other
contact
person.
us on our IG accounts for information or to set up a free exploration call.
Yeah.
We would love to hear from you, and we love supporting our listeners in that way. So let's now dive into being the one to end things. Why are we doing this episode?
Gosh, it's such an important one because I think, it's especially breakup podcasts, I feel, really center around the person who's been left, who's like dealing with the surprise and the shock and like all of these different things, the betrayal, but it's still very emotionally hard when you are the person who decided to end things. And I think we want to offer this episode as a way to be like, yes, things are hard. No, you're not the bad guy. All of these different reminders that I think can be lost in a lot of the resources for breakups. And with that, a lot of the material that's for someone who's decided to leave a relationship is on like the how to.
Yeah, I did research for this, and it was almost exclusively how to do it and how to know that you should do it. And it's kind of a shame because it really, either a relationship just completely falling apart or being the instigator sucks.
It does. Yeah. And it's almost like resources are treating this as like, oh, once you've done it, then you're good. Like now you can move on with the rest of your life. And it's like, well, actually, a lot of people are left really, really reeling and really, having to like find that resoluteness in themselves that is really hard to remember when you're lonely and suffering. So we both know how painful it can be to break up with someone. We've both done it.
Yes.
It's brutal.
It is really brutal. So, okay, everyone knows that I'm divorced. And so so I've shared a little, few details about it as we've gone along in the last year of the show. Happy anniversary,
Yeah.
everyone. But I've never really gone into that much detail, because this is about healing. It's not really about
Trauma dumping on you
so
guys.
much, the backstory necessarily. So I thought, because I was the one to walk away and it killed me, it might be really helpful for me to kind of outline, like the last few months of the relationship.
Yeah.
And so I sat down and I started writing it, and I was like, hell no. First of all, I really wanted to, I guess, make it clear to people that the last few months were agonizing for me. And so even though I was the one who had to pull the plug, it wasn't any easier because I was the one that was like, we're done with this.
Yeah.
And so I started going into all these details. And you know what? Honestly, everyone, it stressed me out to write down what happened.
Yeah.
It stressed me out to talk about our last big fight.
Ugh.
And so I thought, you know what? Not only do I not want this on my computer.
Yeah.
I don't want to then read it in preparation for the episode. And I don't want to go into it. I think that it might even stress other people out to hear about.
Yeah.
So I just really want everyone to know that it was just
it was bad.
Yeah, it was bad. I think some of the gaslighting could have even been triggering to some people. But what I thought was helpful, as I was researching for this episode, I pulled up some psychological studies around the reasons people choose to end relationships. And while there wasn't hardly any, I did find some good ones. And the ones that I did find did kind of refer to something that I have heard about before, but I didn't really know that much about.
Yeah.
And that is the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse as related to relationships. And do you know about this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a theory coined by John Gottman, and it is an outline of the 4 major behaviors that poison a relationship and can ultimately lead to someone ending things.
Yeah.
And so I was just very casually reading, and it was crazy to me how, yes, each dynamic existed in the last year of my marriage. So just briefly, the 4 horsemen are, and I'm going to relate it back to my situation. And also everyone, there's, 2 people. It takes 2 people to end a relationship. But I totally get that. If you were to talk to him, I'm sure he'd have an interesting story. But I just want to say, this was my experience.
Yeah.
So the 4 horsemen are criticism. My partner he would constantly belittle my attempts to get work. I had just graduated. He would lose his temper. He would go on in emails and in person. I think I've mentioned this before. He would send me emails once he got to work, just outlining just his issues with that were very, very personal to me, how I was messed up, he got on this thing about how disrespectful I was toward him. And he enjoyed outlining it for me. It was so stressful.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it wasn't good at all.
No.
The next one is contempt. My partner would constantly tell me that I needed more deference toward him and that it was my inability to let him get through to me that was causing problems in our relationship.
Oh my God.
Defensive,ness, Claire. See, this is why I didn't go into the details of how this all played out, because it is upsetting. I really did need to end it.
Yeah.
So,
oh my God.
The third one, defensiveness.
Sorry.
So this is a big one. Any attempt to have an open conversation with him was met with shock and outrage. He didn't want to be a part. He didn't want to have a conversation about how we could together fix things. And then he became more and more sensitive over time and would lose his temper over things that really didn't have anything to do with him. This was one of the big things. He had kind of a temper before, but this was became a weekly thing where he would just freak out. One of the last fights we had was because I told him I didn't like the food at his friend's restaurant. It wasn't even his friend's restaurant. It was where his friend was working. And he said that was disrespectful. And it was very defensive. And then the 4th horseman of the apocalypse is stonewalling. I was met with the silent treatment and a refusal to speak about how we could both work on fixing things. A last straw for me was when he said he would refuse to speak to me until I said 99.9% of the problems in our relationship were because of me.
No.
And I refused to say that.
Good for
So
you.
it unraveled.
Yeah.
Ooh. Anyone
Ooh.
who thinks that leaving a marriage or a relationship is easier than being broken up with, try dealing with all of that for about a year before leaving and tell me that leaving is less painful.
Oh my God, that's so painful.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
just really stressful as well. It was just constant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, oh my God, all of those things I wouldn't want anyone to be in a relationship and having to deal with. Um, like you said, it takes two people. I'm sure he has a different perspective, but like none of those things are healthy relationship dynamics.
Yeah.
And they're also not actions of someone who like is trying to think of how to both fix things and be kind to their partner.
Right. Yeah.
It's just like, oh, that's so
Well, I had
bad.
created a pattern early in the relationship where I just kind of put up with anything because
Yeah.
I wanted to stay in the relationship so bad.
Yeah.
And that set a really bad precedent.
Yeah.
And then when I started, maturing and getting older, I started pushing back against it. So that's one of
Yeah.
the things that I do hold myself responsible for is
Mhm.
I was too young to get married, and
Yeah.
I didn't know a lot of what I know now then about healthy relationships. So.
Yeah, exactly. For those, so I'm going to talk about breaking up with my ex-fiance, because I think it's an interesting example to use. I've definitely broken up with other people before in the past, especially with the toxic ex. Like he stonewalled once and I was out. So I didn't have the privilege of getting to all the others of the four horsemen because I was like, no.
It's good. Boundaries.
Yeah. So with my ex-fiance though, this is, like a very it's a different situation because there wasn't something I could point to like he's doing these terrible toxic things and I will definitely leave. It was just this feeling of not being in the right place and of unhappiness that just like wasn't going away. And a lot of the connections that I now realize were reasons that I broke things off. I was not like fully consciously aware of at the time. So like my reasons for breaking things up, like I was unhappy, like I said. And I think I had really lost myself in the relationship. And so I was getting to a point in my life where I actually wanted to like figure out who I am again. And I didn't know who I was without him. And there were like some circumstances that happened where things he said or things he did just showed that everyone else's opinion mattered more than mine. So, yeah, we had been together for 5 years. We were engaged for 2.
Wow.
During that time, we had like barely even chosen a day for the marriage ceremony, let alone planned anything. And I've talked before about how hard it was to like, even talk about the wedding together. It was just like very painful. He was not into it. And I was not the girl who was like, I'll just plan everything. Like, I needed a little bit of encouragement by the person.
I could see
who
that. I could
asked.
see that out of you.
So, yeah. And, we weren't really having sex. We couldn't talk about anything that was difficult. So like we couldn't talk about the wedding. I couldn't talk about my past. I couldn't talk about my emotions. Not for a lack of trying. It was more like I would try to open a conversation about something bothering me, like a typical way it went. And I'll share this because this was like part of the ending was after work, I came home and I was like, hey, like, I'm really upset because for the past 2 years, we've been trying to plan this wedding. And it really feels like anytime I bring it up, you're not excited about it. And I'm like starting to get the feeling you don't actually want to get married. Basically, he was like, I thought it was the right time to ask. And and I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, so what are we going to do? And I'm like, well, I don't think there's anything wrong with our relationship. Cringe. And it seems to be the marriage thing that's putting all this pressure on us. We should just call off the engagement. And like, clearly it wasn't the right time. Like, neither of us are invested in getting married. Like, let's just do that. He was like, okay, so we'll stay together. He's like, could you keep the ring on? Don't tell your parents. Don't tell my parents. If it comes up like it has been coming up for 2 years, just like blow it off like we have been, where we're like, we're not sure yet, we don't know, blah, blah, blah. But just basically have like this fake engagement so that he didn't have to tell anyone that we had broken off the engagement and explain it.
It sounds so torturous.
Yeah. And I was like, okay. And he's like, cool, can we stop talking about it now? And so the whole conversation took about 4 minutes. And he just wanted to like move on to other things afterwards. There was no like emotional support. There was no kind of like coming together, him sharing his feelings or anything like that. It was more like, oh, there's a problem, let's problem solve it, and then let's move on. But yeah, so that action of like putting everyone else's perspective and like doing what society expects was kind of like a lot of things with him. Like, even going for a hike, there was like one moment in like the last few months of being together. We went for a hike and I had these new boots on and they kept rubbing because we were going like straight uphill and they were brand new.
Rookie mistake.
Just
joking.
It was a rookie mistake. And so I kept trying. I'm like, maybe if I loosen my laces, it'll be better. Maybe if I tighten my laces, it'll be better. And so we're going up this mountain and I kept having to stop because of my shoes, and there was another hiker who would overtake us when we stopped, and then we would overtake her when we started going again, and then she'd overtake us when we stopped. And eventually he was like, we cannot keep letting this woman pass us. We are not stopping again. And I'm like, wait, that's the problem?
Who cares?
Like, yeah.
I mean, it's
she
kind of
didn't
funny in the
care.
story, but I can just imagine when you're hiking. I
Yeah,
don't know, like,
exactly. It's
this
like,
happens.
you're hiking. This happens. I don't think this woman probably even noticed that we were the same
Right.
people. Like, but, it was like even things so small as that, the opinion of a total stranger on a trail for a mild inconvenience was more important than me.
Oh, that's massive insecurity.
Yeah. So anyway, I might cut some of that out because it's not like super important to like outline, but basically I had the feeling that everyone else was more important than me in our relationship, and that's not how my parents raised me to find someone. That's not like what I expected of myself. That's not what I wanted out of my relationship.
Yeah, and everyone listening, your partner should make you feel like a VIP.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, yeah, things about our partner will eventually annoy us. Like, there are things like that, but
it's normal.
At the end of the day, whether it's hiking or an engagement, like the opinion of and like feelings of your partner should come first. Like, yes, you can consider what other people are feeling, but that partner should come first. It's you guys in the relationship. So, and I also, so yeah, that really factored in, to the relationship ending, but it was like a very, like, he was not like he wasn't stonewalling me, he wasn't defensive, he wasn't contemptuous. Like maybe he was a little bit critiquing, like but it's more like he held himself to a very high standard and then he held me to it as well. But with things like my engagement or just going for a fucking walk, like I don't need to be criticized. Like
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
not, no.
And it just shouldn't be that hard either.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. Yeah. So, like we both wanted to elope, except like he worried too much about what people would think.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that comes with time sometimes. I am
Mhm.
surprised how often I hear about what people's moms are going to think about things
Yeah.
related to the breakup or the relationship. And I mean, look, that was a hard lesson for me to learn, to really stop caring, really about my family's input. But I've also said that it was also one of the most important lessons that I've
Yeah.
learned, because it's freedom when you
Yeah.
don't have, I mean, yeah, that can be toxic. And also, I mean, it's just not what you need as a grown up, you really,
Yeah.
you kind of have to get to the point where you're not
Yeah, exactly.
really
You're like,
considering
I am
how
an
your
adult.
your parents' reaction to your life choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they're generally not gonna fully understand whatever you do.
Yeah.
So, so that whole keeping the ring on and not telling anyone, that lasted about a week for me.
No.
And that was when I ended things, which was like awful. It was really awful. And he said during our like breakup talk, he said that he was relieved so that he could finally start getting over it. And like working on moving on. And
That's good.
Yeah, that word of relieved, like that really followed me through the breakup, and it took me a while. It took me a
Yeah.
while to get over that, because I was like, wait, if I hadn't done anything, you would have just put up with it and never changed anything. Like,
Well, and
wow.
see, that's a good example, because when two people are breaking up, often both people say things that are very hurtful to the other.
Yeah.
And even if you're the one who initiated it, your partner can come back with some things that leave really deep scars.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I've thought about other ways, other reasons he may have said it, like perhaps it was because he was, I don't know, like it really left it. That was like one of the hardest things, because I was, I had felt very much alone in the decision. And then the fact that he was relieved about it, it was like, wait, I wasn't the only one feeling this way. Like, it's pretty awful. So yeah, afterwards I was really reeling. I made some poor decisions that made me feel like trash. I dove off the deep end, all of the stuff. But it was really like a big growing point for me, because like for the 5 years before, I wasn't really making my own choices. I was being like the fraction of myself that he liked. Like I think I was being authentic, but I wasn't being fully me. Like I didn't wear a dress for 5 years because he didn't like it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, like I had to like relearn what my full identity was without him. And I also had to find out who I was as a woman, because we had been together like since we were basically kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's one good
20,
opportunity that a
19,
breakup
20.
can give you.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it was very hard. So yeah, I don't know how much of that will make it into the final
Well,
cut.
no, I think it's really, really valuable. I think all of it. It's
Okay.
And also, but we can listen and decide.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think it's helpful for us to share our experiences. So
yeah,
thank you.
It was definitely nuanced. It wasn't like he
Yeah.
was a monster and then I left and then I had to get over it. It was like he was a really decent guy with insecurities.
Yeah, well, I think
Like-
any breakup that comes after being with someone for multiple years is nuanced because you
Yeah.
have memories with them, you had the life you thought you had, you have
Yeah.
so much history. And so, yeah, it is really complicated, even as bad as it can get sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
So let's talk about all of the reasons that being the one to end things can be so hard. First of all, ending a relationship with someone you used to love or still love is extremely painful and is a very, very hard decision to make.
Yeah.
Breakups all hurt, not because you lose someone you loved, but because you are losing the life you thought you had. Something like a marriage or an engagement ending. I mean, you're just like tossing out your future almost.
Yeah.
And it's just as true for the person who pulls the plug. This part of the process may be different for this person because it's possibly been a long, painful decision to come to, sometimes over a long period of time. For instance, the year that I went through that ended with me deciding to leave my husband was one of the top worst years of my life. And I have had multiple worst years of my life. And I felt like I was living in constant stress. I lost weight because of not being able to eat. I felt like I was walking through mud on a daily basis. And it was not a flippant or easy thing to do.
No.
And also, I want to say that the shock of realizing that a relationship is not going to work after, when, of course, when you get married, you think it's going to be amazing. And then coming to the realization that it's not is just crazy. I always thought that losing my marriage would devastate my life. I mean, it kind of did for a little while, but it was completely a worst case scenario. In these little moments where I realized that he was not willing to bend, and that he was actually becoming more and more difficult with time, was something that I still feel sad about. This was a person with really great qualities and someone I shared a lot with. And to see him change in such a negative way from my perspective, I really, really wanted it to work out. But I also got to the point where it was just becoming so unhealthy and borderline unsafe for me. I just knew that it wasn't going to go in the right direction. Two people have to fix things. And I had all these moments where I'm just like, shit, he's not.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Yeah. It's like you have, you want people to treat it like you do, and then sometimes they don't. And that's so sad. So just because the relationship isn't working doesn't mean that the love isn't real or that the love wasn't real at one point. Sometimes it's crucial to separate the love you have for a person and the probability of future happiness. It's huge. So, like, compatibility, we talk about that a lot. Check out Chemistry versus Compatibility. We get lots
It's still
of
one of my
DMs
favorite
about that one.
episodes.
Yeah. And, you can love someone and also know that the likelihood of fulfillment inside of a partnership with that person is very unlikely. And those are important aspects to consider when you're deciding to stay with a partner. So the inability to get along or a serious clash in lifestyle might not have any bearing on your chemistry or on the affection you have for that person. But you can still know that the relationship is not going to work out. It's not going to be what you want for yourself and potentially what you would want for that person as well.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, you can be breaking up with someone that you're deeply in love with and just know that, like, life together isn't going to be possible. So, and especially if you've already shared a portion of your life together, like, it's going to be even harder.
Yep. This is where we have people saying, they don't want to feel like it was a waste of time. They don't want to throw it away. They've already invested so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a hard decision. I don't know how important this is, but I thought it was interesting. A 2017 study, I believe at the University of Ontario, titled Wanting to Stay and Wanting to Go, Unpacking the Content and Structure of Relationship Stay Leave Decision Processes,
All right.
looked at the reasons people choose to both leave and stay in relationships. Some of the top reasons for leaving were a breach of trust, partner's personality, too much conflict. Sorry. I think
sorry.
I'm just thinking of how that ends up playing out. And partner's personality. For me, it was how its personality changed. So I guess I relate to that.
Yeah.
Too much conflict, incompatibility, emotional distance, lack of enjoyment, or an alternate partner, including feeling that you can do better. So coming to terms with any of those after falling in love with someone is very difficult.
Yeah.
And putting yourself first is such a nice thing to say, but it is not easy a lot of the time.
Yeah, because we, like, what I experienced a lot was gaslighting myself and being like, what you're feeling just like isn't real. You're just crazy. You just are freaking out because you're combining car insurances now and you don't like feeling dependent on this person. Like,
or we hear sometimes you're scared.
You're scared. Yeah. And it's like, I was scared, but maybe that's not like a terrible thing to admit.
I think when it comes to relationships, we are so often kind of taught to invalidate our intuition.
Yes. Yeah. And it's like, I get that some people have been through trauma. And so something that feels wrong could be actually really healthy. And it's just that they haven't experienced that healthiness prior. But I think I was like really, really privileged growing up. I got a very good example of a relationship between my mom and my dad. Like I believe that my intuition is usually speaking the truth. The problem is getting me to listen to it. So yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, breach of trust. Like I feel like my example from earlier was basically a breach of trust. Like I didn't trust him to put me first anymore. So yeah. So if you shared part of your life with someone, it can be very hard to see them hurt. So not only are you like mourning the loss of like this possible future with something, you're mourning the loss of the past that will not be like extending into the future, but you're also just like, this person, how they process emotions, and you know kind of the state you're going to be leaving them in. And that can be really hard to come to terms with, like really hard. So like, I don't know, with leaving my ex-fiance, like I knew that it was going to be really emotionally hard for him, but I'd also not really seen him ever process sadness. And that was probably one of the issues, was that like he didn't express any sort of like negative emotions really ever. So it was like this blank. I'm like, is he at home crying? Like, or is he just like running for 20 miles? I have no idea. Probably the second one, but like, like I didn't even know like where he would go for support, because like he didn't even go to me for support, when things would happen when we were together. So that was like, I felt like I was just leaving him to like figure out how to deal with feelings like all by himself.
Well, probably an important lesson for him.
Yeah, I don't know. So, and we all know people who've stayed in bad relationships out of fear or discomfort around hurting their partner. Some people will even act out in ways that sabotage the relationship rather than face up to the conversation of ending things. Like,
Yeah.
I think we hear about that a lot,
Mm.
with people who just like, they're like, I
It's
just
easier
left
to have
them
the
no
other
bridge.
person maybe end it for some.
Yeah, it's
Uh-huh.
like burn the bridges,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say I had a experience where it was really hard for me to hurt someone. I was dating someone in Melbourne, and look, I can be weird in relationships in the sense that, I start out really strong and,
Oh,
I have gone very fast with people and, and I get really caught up in the excitement of a new relationship. And then sometimes it can also fizzle quickly for me, the feelings. And his
yeah.
life was kind of complicated. And I just realized I just couldn't do it. And I don't know, all of a sudden I didn't feel as excited about it and as
Yeah.
attracted to him. And I just was like, I've got to get out of this now. And so we met and I told him, I just want to be friends. And the look on his face,
Oh,
oh my God,
yeah.
it really killed me. He was a nice guy who I had shared already a lot with. We had been friends first, of course, another one of my patterns. And so listen to this though. I think that he knew that I was going to end things. It had been a
Yeah.
couple weeks of not as
Yeah.
many sparks.
Yeah.
So he brought me flowers. And we were going to meet to talk.
Oh.
I assume he knew I don't know.
Oh
So he brought me
no.
flowers and a card, and I didn't open the card until I went home. And in the card, he was telling me how much he loved me and
Oh.
that meeting me was the best day of his life.
Oh, fuck.
And I just burst into tears. It was just
Yeah.
so sad.
Oh.
I question his motivation toward giving all that to me
Yeah.
when things were not going in the right direction, really. But yeah, it crushed me completely.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I know what it's like to hurt someone.
Oh
Mhm.
man.
And it hurts.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Um,
just thinking about my very first breakup.
yeah,
It was
it's
honestly,
not
he
fun.
handled it the best out of anyone I've ever broken up with, too. But yeah, it was kind of like that, where it's like they knew, like there were
I
some.
think so, but still it hurt me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love this quote about breaking up with someone by Sammy Nichols from Hello Giggles. You feel like a criminal because it feels like you're stabbing your best friend and partner in the back after so many years of promises.
Yeah.
You feel intense loneliness because you're losing one of your closest companions to whom you text good morning and good night every single day. You feel distraught because you keep being reminded of it all by a song on the radio or a bench you ate lunch on together or a little trinket they gave you that you find behind your bed.
Oof. Yeah.
That
It's,
resonated with me.
yeah, that definitely is, I think I do as well.
So I also think it's worth pointing out that sometimes when you choose to leave a relationship, it is because the person leaving has been mistreated. This
Mm.
gets glossed over a lot. I know from personal experience that when you walk away from an abusive person, the people around you can sometimes fail to recognize the pain you're going through, right?
Yeah.
Like you're better off. They don't deserve you, good,
Yeah,
it's
which seem like positive things to say in the moment, but if you like really think about it, it's like saying, "Don't be sad, you're better off now." Like
yeah,
there's that like unspoken "don't be sad" in front of those.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
that's one reason I really wanted to do this episode. That's one reason I became a breakup coach
Yeah.
is, I just felt people didn't even want to talk about it. Just like, Janice, it would just be really, best if you just put this behind you, recognize you're better off. And, I'm like struggling to get through the day because of, what I had just gone through with all
Yeah.
the abuse. And even just, it doesn't even matter. If you're sad, you're sad.
You're
Shit.
sad, you're sad. Yeah. Yeah, especially like if Possibly maybe you made a huge mistake and that ended the relationship. Like, you can still be sad about it even if you were, quote, the at fault, you know?
Well, I hope you would be.
Yeah, I hope you would feel sad about it still.
I mean, look, it's still an opportunity to learn and grow, and
Yeah.
recognizing what you did is sometimes a huge part of that process.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh, yeah, listen to our forgiveness episode.
Yeah.
Um, so the decision to leave is not always because of mistreatment or abuse, but it can be. And when it is, those dynamics can make the decision of what to do drawn out and incredibly painful. People who've been living in unhappy relationships often carry with them secrets and deep wounds, and I think also shame for
Yes.
the fact that that they stayed. I think, when you do finally leave, you also deal with those questions of like, why did it take so long? If it was so awful, why did you stay? And it's like, now that you're finally out of it, you have to deal with the fact that you were in it for so long. And
Very, very
yeah,
true.
that's incredibly painful. And we
Yes.
definitely feel for that. And we never want to make anyone feel like guilty or shameful for having stayed in a situation. Like, I talk about how it was one stonewalling incident and then I was out. I think I'm an anomaly. Like, I don't think that everyone is like that, and I honestly think, it may have backfired on me in certain ways because I didn't have all of these reasons. I had, like one circumstance that turned out to be very, 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 very good indicator of what was to come.
Mhm.
But like, we did an episode with Ruth Glenn
Yeah.
during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. She talks about her own story, and like some of the things that victims of abuse go through when trying to leave. And it's like a well-proven fact. It usually takes about 7 tries.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think one of the many things we're trying to do on this show is to really help educate the public that you should never, ever, ever ask someone, why did you stay or why did you go back? And to just recognize that it is highly, highly complex,
Yeah.
and to just be as supportive of a person as you can.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, it is really interesting that sometimes the most abusive people aren't the ones to end things.
Yeah.
It's the person who's being mistreated who has to walk away.
Isn't that weird? Like,
Uh-huh.
you're probably not happy either if
Yeah,
you're
I mean, I just
feeling
think some
like
people just get
this.
off on the power and control so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So, are you struggling to get past a breakup after being the one to end things? Here are some of our top tips for navigating this type of breakup and healing from it. First off, making the decision and executing it is just one part of the breakup. There's also sticking to your decision, and actually going and making a new life for yourself
Yep.
as well.
You really have to trust yourself and own your decision.
Yeah.
Still caring about someone or struggling with the memories can make it really easy to second guess yourself after you've ended things.
I wanted to add, I
Yeah.
really dealt with this, and there was a moment I was working with a therapist, and I was like, I feel like I just made this split second decision and that I didn't think it through beforehand, and now I don't know why I did this. And she's like, I've been talking to you for a little while now. You think things through so much. I don't think that statement is true.
Yeah.
And so it was so nice to have someone call it out, call me out and be like,
Mhm.
no, you did think about this. You
Right.
did.
Yeah.
You had
Yeah.
very good reasons. You didn't just wake up one day and decide to do this.
Definitely. Yep. I went through similar things. So the same study that I mentioned earlier, the 2017 study about reasons people leave, also noted that ambivalence around ending things was the biggest indicator that led to on again, off again relationships. It also indicates that couples tend to get stuck in this pattern rather than getting back together and creating more stability. And what I was going to say is that after a breakup, there's often, people that we're working with who don't want to be broken up in some cases. And you know what? I actually think that can be the same if you're the one who initiates it. You can go through that process as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that is really sad. I think it's one of the reasons I became a breakup coach, is because I wanted to help people not get stuck in that repetitive thought, even years later, that they made a mistake, that was the one, they're never going to be happy like that again, those sort of thoughts. Because if you go about your life like every single thought you have is like 100% valid, like you're gonna get stuck in thought patterns like that and make yourself miserable. And it's only after you start diving into like personal development and learning about the brain that you realize, oh my God, not all of my thoughts are super valid.
So true. You are not your thoughts. And
You're
this
not
is
your thoughts.
especially important when, not if, when you start missing this person.
Yeah.
Because you will. You just will. You've been with them. They were a part of your life. And it's so important, to not write this story that you miss them because you were meant to be with them, or you miss them because you care more about them than you thought you did, or any number of things that people tell themselves.
Yeah. So one thing that will help with this is going no contact. So that second guessing will only become more intense if you are around them, or if you share each other's pain and start to feel bad for them. And here's just a reminder, no contact doesn't have to be forever. When you are finally at a place where you feel really solid about the decision and the emotions are much calmer now and everyone seems to have healed, you can like talk again, like if you see each other or something. You don't have to like be like, I will never speak to this person again, even when we're fully over it. No. But you gotta give yourself that chance to get over it first.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this again goes back to trusting yourself. And it just makes it harder when you see the person or are in contact with them or try to emotionally support each other.
Yes.
It can lead to getting back into this cycle. It's harder for both of you.
Yeah. So another thing you can do is to engage in new activities. So, try and see what you like and dislike. Also, schedule morning and evening rituals that'll help kind of bookend your day, give you something to look forward to at the end of the day and to look forward to when you wake up. Because I know those are two sticky places in the recovery process.
And both of those things are things that you can do to create a new life for yourself as a single person apart from this person. Know that you might feel lonely, but again, going back to what we were saying earlier, this doesn't mean you're meant to be with your ex. Don't tell yourself a story of what your loneliness means about your decision or the health of the relationship. Feeling lonely doesn't mean that the relationship was better than you thought it was.
Yeah.
No.
Right? Yeah.
And finally, try to accept that the person you broke up with and the relationship were really as incompatible with your needs as you felt they were at the time, and that things would not be different or easier if you got back together.
Yep.
This is such an easy trap to fall into, thinking that this discomfort will be eased if we just, get back together. And No. We have not been able to come up with hardly any stories about where it ended up working out. So We hope that everybody, does what they feel is right. But if you're really struggling, we hope that will probably help, just to know that our brain does this. We have been talking about fading affect bias since the beginning of the show, and you will possibly automatically hold on to the happy memories and the happy feelings. You want to feel happy and think about, all of the magic in the beginning of the relationship more than you want to feel lonely and that you just lost someone. So just, you are not your thoughts.
Yeah. So, and you can do this, you can heal from this, you can, if you need to forgive yourself, you can forgive yourself, you can have
and you did the right
a
thing.
brighter future. You did the right thing, and as a reminder, wanting to leave is a good enough reason to leave. It doesn't have to be abuse. It doesn't have to be that they asked you to lie to your family. It doesn't have to be anything like that. It could just be that you didn't feel right in the relationship anymore, and it was time to go.
Relationships are two people who show up every day wanting to be there. And if you don't feel that last part of it, the wanting to be there part, get out. I mean, not, I'm not trying to be flippant about it, but that's, like Claire said, perfectly valid. You want that in your relationship too.
Yeah. You want it
You
to
deserve
be
it.
two people who, I mean, what's funny is I think a lot of people go towards marriage because it's like, oh, that's when you like have someone who's promised to be there forever. And it's like, well, actually, like, none of these promises mean anything. You still have to be like choosing to be there every single day. You still have to
just take a lot of work.
The relationship, it
in this day and age, also, you can end a marriage just like a relationship. It's different, but it's not a guarantee.
It's not a guarantee, and whether it's polyamorous, whether you're monogamous, whether whatever your situation, you still have to choose to be there. And as soon as you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there. So I hope that helps everyone. We recently had a DM that said that we laugh too much during these episodes and we need to treat it more seriously. And I hope we're usually laughing about probably the worst moments in our lives.
I reserve the right to be able to look back on my past relationships and laugh rather than get overly triggered.
And I hope that it serves as a reminder to everyone that you can get to a place where the chapters that you thought you would never get out of, you would never survive, you actually can survive and actually look back and laugh about it. Afterwards.
I think it helps people to see that we're, able to talk about it semi-frequently, lightheartedly. So also I like to laugh. I'm known for it. So
exactly.
I don't want to end each episode being so depressed that I can't get on with my work.
So, take some time and laugh today. Humor is healing, and we love you guys, and we're excited to be on this journey with you, even though it's, it is a serious subject and it is very sad a lot of the time.
It is. And that's why we're here. We hope that this helps you. We hope that it adds a little bit of light to your day. We hope we give good tips for moving forward. We absolutely know that you're capable of it, and we want to be a resource for you.
Awesome. Well, we will talk to your ears very soon. And with that, goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to X-Files, a podcast about breakups, broken hearts, and moving on.
If you liked this episode, please help others find us by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or by following the show on Spotify.
And if you'd like to connect more with us and learn about breakup coaching, find us on Instagram at X-Files Podcast.